There is nothing simpler than death. It can happen anywhere and to anyone. But don't rush to dig a grave for yourself. My advice and precautions today can completely save your life. There are many ways to see your deceased relatives as soon as possible. One of the simplest is electric current. If you're sitting at home and suddenly smell some fish and your grandpa has not yet returned from fishing, check the sockets. Turn off all devices because this can save you from a fire. Maybe the wiring burned somewhere in the wall, started to melt the plastic in the outlet, and it really smells a little like fish. If you're swimming in the pool and feel a metallic taste, get out as soon as possible because there's a risk that a short circuit has occurred somewhere in the water. Well, or someone threw a toaster into the pool. But a short circuit is not so scary. Imagine that you're walking down the street and a power line cable fell to the ground next to you. Don't try to walk or run. It's 100% death. Instead, hop like a rabbit or walk without lifting your feet off the ground. The fact is that the movement of electric current is based on the potential difference. If you just walk, the potential difference between your legs will be enough to electrocute you. But if you jump, there's a chance to survive. Although it will look so funny that you can simply die of shame. If you find yourself in a building where a fire started, move around on your knees. Breathable air is closer to the floor. And do not open the windows if you're not going to escape through them. If you missed physics lessons at school, I'll explain. The new flow of fresh air seems to feed the fire, and it will become even stronger. Now let's imagine that you're on a deserted island where only coconuts grow. It's a source of nutrients, but remember that advertising has been lying to you all your life, and brown coconuts are actually best not to touch. The fact is that they contain oil that causes dehydration, so it's better to drink milk from green coconuts. Burn the brown ones in the fire. It will scare away mosquitoes and cowardly cannibals. By the way, if you're near the ocean, be careful. When the water suddenly recedes significantly from the shore, waste no time and run away as if you just robbed your neighbor's orchard, and he saw it and already stuffed salt into his gun. Because this is a clear sign that a tsunami is about to start. But if waves are already visible on the horizon, it's too late to run away. Accept your fate, which in a few seconds will turn into a tragedy. A deserted island means complete loneliness, so no one will come to your rescue if you go hungry on the meager food you can find. It's kind of unpleasant to die of food when there's so many dangers nearby, isn't it? No, this is not a karate technique, but a way to push food out of the esophagus. To do this, you need to clench your hand into a fist, then press it against your stomach and press it into your stomach until you get a piece of pizza. Or your internal organs. If you find yourself in a similar situation, remember the rule of 3. It can save your life. 3 minutes without air. Also, without critical damage to the body, you can survive 3 hours of hellish heat or frost. You can last 3 days without drinking water, and you can function for 3 weeks without food. I wonder what was the name of those poor people who checked all this, and where are they buried? By the way, about hypothermia, it can easily cause death, so try to keep warm in extreme situations. Remember, if a person is shivering, everything will be fine. You can help them if you just warm them up. If a person falls asleep in the cold, it means that everything is bad. If a person begins to undress in the cold, then most likely they are done. Due to damage to nerve endings, a person's mind becomes foggy and it seems that they are hot. Trying to cool down, they undress and freeze to death. But let's imagine that you were rescued and returned to civilization. It would seem that the suffering is over. But don't hurry with the conclusions. Usually people start eating and drinking a lot of water, and here lies another trap for you. For a body that has experienced hunger, it's a huge load and stress. So you need to eat a little, no matter how much you want to, because even an extra piece of cookie can be fatal for you. We talked about tsunamis. Now a little about tornadoes, because of which hundreds of people die every year. Surviving it is not so easy. The main rule, if you see a tornado and it seems to you that it's frozen in place, be sure it's moving directly towards you. Be sure to grab your phone and shoot your latest but greatest video. Particularly powerful tornadoes are able to lift a car, whole houses, or even metal bridges into the air. But sometimes people manage to survive, being in the very center of the vortex. Inside, a zone of extremely calm air with low pressure is formed, but it's almost impossible to get to it without dying from debris. In addition, a tornado can throw you several kilometers away, and the landing is unlikely to be comfortable. But you can die in much more comfortable circumstances. For example, just bowling. If you don't get killed by a bowling ball, the mechanism that places the pin might do so. There is a mechanism behind each track along which the ball rolls and on which the pins stand. It sweeps knockdown pins from the track like a giant rake. The pins then fall into a special mechanism and the machine places them again. Well, those rakes have such power that they can break not only pins, but also a person if they stand in front of them. And although there are no statistics to prove that bowling is a deadly sport, sometimes tragedies still happen. For example, in England in 2006, one mechanic was sucked into the mechanism. Since then, his ghost has been roaming the bowling alleys, preventing people from throwing strikes. And now to more real situations. Let's imagine you went to the store and met a mountain lion. What shall you do? Do not turn your back on it under any circumstances, because as long as it sees your face and eyes, it will not attack. The ideal option is to find an idiot hat with plastic eyes or put a mask on the back of your head. Some African tribes have protected themselves from lions in this way for centuries, and in some Indian regions, such a trick was performed with tigers. True, those bastards are not so stupid, and it will not work to distract them with masks for a long time. Neither masks nor weapons protected the poor inhabitants of the Indian region of Kumaon at one time. There, in 12 years, one and the same tigress managed to kill almost 500 people until it was shot by a British hunter. Tigers are understandable, but what to do if you meet a polar? Of course, you can try to fight it with your bare hands, but the best option is to distract it by throwing any element of your clothing in front of the animal. Polar bears have a pronounced attention deficit disorder, so at first they'll try to investigate what you throw at them. You'll have time to run, but you need to constantly throw some things at his feet to distract him again and again. In the end, you will escape naked or die fashionable and stylish if you choose not to give your clothes to the animal. Maybe you didn't know, but crocodiles quite often attack people. The ancient Egyptians even had a special hieroglyph in the form of a crocodile, which was used to describe very bad people. And yet, how to escape from a crocodile if you were crossing a shallow African river and it grabbed your leg? Try to poke it in the eye with a stick or your fingers. If a crocodile grabs your hand, you can try to feel the palatal valve behind its tongue. This is a very sensitive organ that can be damaged even by fingers, and it's located at the base of the tongue. Press once, and the mouth will open. But don't worry too much. Only 40% of human encounters with crocodiles have a lethal ending. If the alligator is not hunting but simply defending its territory, it will not eat you. It'll simply bite off your arm, leg, or head. This is usually survivable. And if you suddenly get lost in the forest while picking mushrooms or hiding the body of your enemy, don't panic. You have a phone that will help even if there is no signal. Call any emergency service and your call will be routed through any available line nearby. If that doesn't help, you can always fall to your knees and start crying. If you have a gun, you can give an SOS signal. Remember, it looks like this: 3 dots, 3 dashes, 3 dots. Fire 3 shots, one after the other, then 3 with an interval of a few seconds, and again 3 in a row. In general, you can send this signal with anything. The main thing is to make noticeable pauses between the dots so that the SOS signal is not confused with the phrase, "I like donuts." Now let's imagine the situation. You walk down the street, look into a closed car and see a new phone or a wad of money on the seat. How to break glass? Well. Or you just had an accident and the door got locked. How do you get out? The easiest option is to simply knock out the glass, but you need to knock not in the center where the glass is strongest. It's best to hit the corners where the glass is adjacent to the frame. It's much easier and does not require much effort. And how to get out of a car that fell into the water. If you find yourself in water in your car, don't panic. First of all, unbuckle the seatbelt and then try to open the window. The electronics will work for a few more minutes until the car starts to sink into the water. You can't open the door until the interior is completely filled with water, and this is a very bad option. If the electronics are broken and you can't open the window with the handle, take out your .38 Magnum and shoot at the window. Then at the crocodile that is already waiting for you in the water. Swim to the surface and hope that the insurance company will pay for your compensation. If not, you still have a .38 Magnum. Also, a good survival skill would be to learn to distinguish smells. If you smell fish, it might just be fish. If you smell roasted almonds, it could be the smell of cyanide. If you don't know what this smells like, then buy some cyanide at the market and check to find out. If you feel the taste of garlic in your mouth but you've not eaten garlic, then most likely someone's trying to poison you with arsenic. If you're a horrible bloodthirsty vampire, it's probably just garlic, but it's also deadly to you. You can survive a heart attack if you eat enough aspirin. This will give you a few minutes before the ambulance arrives. If you feel the signs of a heart attack, take an aspirin and just chew it. It's not able to dissolve a blood clot, but at least it will not allow a new one to form. So if you watch baseball, stock up not only on beer, but also on aspirin. Just don't confuse it with the cyanide you bought the day before. The last fact and advice for today. If your feces or vomit looks like coffee grounds, stop everything and go to the doctor immediately. This color indicates severe internal bleeding, and if you ate coffee grounds the day before, you should still go to a doctor. For example, a psychiatrist. I hope these tips will save your life. Subscribe and like will definitely save mine, so I'll be grateful to you for the rest of my days. Don't worry, I'll be back soon with another compilation of life facts. But for now, thanks for watching.